Hello everybody, it's me, Kenneth, and I'm joined by the lovely Amanda Roberts again.
Thank you very much.
My mentor and tutor here at the College of Psychic Studies, where we are on the top floor, this lovely room, the meditation room of the College of Psychic Studies. And today we are going to talk about angels.
Yeah.
And in our last kind of video with you, Amanda, we talked about guides.
Yep.
And you also teach a lot to do with the angelic realm.
Yes.
So we're hoping in this video to kind of cover a bit of that area.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, like, what is an angel? How do we connect to the angelic realm? How do we use it in our lives? And, you know, of course, with your personal experience, what has it been like? So maybe let's just start off with what is an angel? And how is it different from a guide?
Wait a minute, I'll just have some water. Well, I want to start off with saying it's lovely to be here, and I'm really honoured, Ken, that you've asked me. He's a great student. He's very clear. He's very open. It's fantastic. So thank you very much for having me here. Angels have generally not been human before. So our spirit guides have been human, they've generally been part of our soul group, we've known them in past lives. Whereas the angelic realm are the closest to source, the closest to God. So kind of when God or source created itself, or the Big Bang was created, the first thing that was part of the creation was the energy that we would call the angelic energy. And this was the way that kind of source could see its reflection of itself, if you want. So it was the first way it could kind of start to expand and grow. So, I always think it sounds a bit silly, but it's on many levels, I guess you could say, which people would find a bit distasteful maybe. On some levels then it's extraterrestrial, isn't it? Because though I think a lot of extraterrestrial probably has had physical lives in reality, which is getting onto another subject, and the angelic realm has not had physical lives either on this planet or other planets.
Well, the word extraterrestrial just means outside of Earth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's actually a really broad
It's a ridiculous
set.
It's a ridiculous phrase, actually, yeah. It's massive. So the angelic realm is a very different energy. It's a lighter vibration. And also what this means is because the angels haven't kind of gone through this whole reincarnation process, they're not sentimental. There's kind of, they have total love, they have total compassion for you, but they're not sentimental. With our spirit guides, they can kind of have that conversation. They can kind of get into why you're upset. They can kind of go into it, the he said, the she said. The angelic realm's not really interested in that. The angelic realm is really higher energies. It can be looking at what's going on in your life, but it's looking at it from a kind of higher, more spiritual perspective, rather than and you did this and that, so she did this and that. You know, it wants to look at it kind of from the kind of the broader sort of perspective.
So would you say angels give more general advice than your guides?
Angels can be very specific.
Okay.
They can give very clear, specific advice, and often their messages can be very simple. Direct, to the point. I can remember one of the first times I heard them singing. It was beautiful. It was like a choir. They were actually telling me to stop doing something. But they did it in this beautiful, quiet way. And it was only about 4 words drawn out. And it was clear. And that was all that was needed. But it is also possible to channel kind of through information that can be quite detailed, but it's going to be information that is of a higher spiritual nature.
Right.
which can relate to Earth, it can relate to the way we are, the way we have been, it can relate to structures.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be worried and concerned about, the small personal sentimental kind of details,
Mm-hmm.
that emotional mental stuff that we get stuck with.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, that's not the concern. But what is the other thing about angels is they have absolute love for us. They see only our perfection. And when I first tuned into the angelic realm, I just never felt lonely ever again. I mean, it's an extraordinary feeling, and maybe we should do a slight meditation to do during this video. We could do that.
Yes, that would be very nice.
They've just told me, of course. They direct this, by the way. Because you can, and of course the wings, you can sense them as wings or feel them as wings. They're actually just powerful lines of energy. Mm. And they can really enfold you. It's like being enfolded in this total love.
Mm-hmm. So the wings, are the wings just how we interpret them?
Yes.
It's just an interpretation. It's not literally like that, right?
No. But also it's how they can be accessible. I mean, other beings want to be as accessible as they can be to us. It's the way they've often been portrayed. And also because actually you can feel in yourself, actually often in the centre, that point between your shoulder blades. You
like
can feel
here.
it, further down. Your heart area, it's almost kind of all slightly further up between the heart, kind of in the throat. You can feel this energy, which you can often feel energy expanding from. Well, that would almost be like our wing energy, because the heart chakra actually's electromagnetic field on reality is 26 times stronger than the brain. So I guess that angelic wings is almost like the heart energy of the angels, but it's a lot stronger than 26 times. So it's just kind of this massive energy that's reaching out in all directions. Mm. And the way it's been interpreted artistically in lots of different cultures that didn't really have much contact with each other was these wings. Mm. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
They're not worried about how they're perceived.
Yeah. It's
the connection and how they can assist us. And there's many ways. I say there's 5 main ways they can assist us in our life.
What are those 5 ways?
So the 5 main ways they can assist us in our life are healing. They're very good for healing. Protection. They're excellent for protection. I'm going to come back to protection because there's a number of ways in which they can do protection. In fact, this would be good to do as a webinar to write it all down almost. It's quite interesting. So healing, protection, support. You just feel that total support and love. Ascension. Mm-hmm. So they help us to know our own divinity. What would be the 5th one be? Come on, you should know. You've done my class.
I never take notes.
I give you the notes. So wait a minute. There'll be something major. Healing. Guidance, of course.
Yay.
You see? Yeah, he does listen. I was just testing him. I really did know.
Hey, you didn't know either.
No, I'm just making sure you take note of what I teach you. Okay. I told you it would be a main one. The protection's very important because that can be kind of on a number of levels. It can be physically, and there's a lot of kind of stories of people kind of maybe being suicidal or something, and having this visitation, and they turn, and somebody comes and talks to them as a person. So it's like angels have never been people, but they can appear as people. They turn around and the person's gone. Mm. Someone's stuck in America, and this desert highway, the car's broken down, they know they're in a kind of area. Someone suddenly pulls up, fixes the car, they turn around and say, thanks mate, and there's nothing. for miles.
Yeah, there are a lot of stories like that.
There's a lot of stories, and this is the angelic realm doing this. There's also other stories of things, so that's you seeing them, but the other sort of stories is one that I really remember is a woman in, I can't remember, a city in New York, in America, and she was walking home and she was terrified. And I'm going to say to you something else in a minute. Can you remind me about the whole thing of free will? Because there's a lot of misperceptions around this. So she was walking. She was walking home and she was terrified. So she asked for help. She wasn't far from home because of this guy, and he looked scary, and his energy was just dark and nasty. And she went past him as fast as she could and up to her department. The woman after her, I think, was raped and murdered. Now, when they asked the guy, why didn't you go for this woman? He said, if you'd seen the guys with her, no way. So it was like she didn't see her angels, but they had appeared as these big, massive, protective men. So there was no way he was going. So even though we may not see them in situations, we can ask and know. There's this thing that they won't appear if you don't ask because it's free will. This isn't true. They're always there. The free will is whether you take them on board or not. Okay? So it's not that they're not going to be present. People who are suicidal aren't saying, look, come on, I'd like an angel to come along so I can have a discussion with it. You know, they're not doing it. The man in the pickup truck is probably a total atheist. He's not saying, hey, come on, guardian angel, pop along, fix my truck for me. He's not saying that. He's not thinking angels. He's scared or something. Do you know what I mean? He might say a prayer or something.
So angels help anyway, but if we allow them,
yes, it's our free will. Yeah.
Then obviously they work better with us.
Yes. So the free will is whether we accept their help or not, whether we are open to it and accepting of it. So and I think it's clear. And the other way they can come across as people is, I know people have said, and I think it's somebody who was well known in the mind, body, spirit, and they gave this talk, and they thought that they possibly needed to be in a psychiatric unit. They had quite traumatic time in childhood, and they'd been referred to the psychiatric hospital. And the guy said to them, no, you need to go to this place in Hawaii and you need to do this, and this. So she went off. Anyway, about 5 years later, she ran into him and she said, what you suggested was so good. And he said, I would never do that. I think it's a load of baloney. And basically, the angels had spoken through him. And there's quite a few cases where they can kind of like come through with information and different states. So there's lots of different ways it can work.
Do you want to tell us the different angels, the different archangels? First of all, what's the difference between an archangel and an angel? Is there a difference? Because I mean, like in certain teachings, there are many hierarchies, isn't there? There are hierarchies of angels or stratas, but in the West, of course, we're like top up. I think what we have to do is see them as concentric circles that move in and out. They don't go, I'm better than you, I'm the king of the castle. They don't kind of work like that. It's not their style. They're higher than that. Right. My wings are better than bigger than yours.
Yeah, you know, that sort of style. Hey, I'm closer to God than you. Yeah, no, they're not into that sort of game. Lucky for us. Sorry, what was the question? I've been
I was just hoping that, I mean, we hear about, obviously, arguably one of the most famous angels is...
the difference. Archangel Michael.
Michael, right.
Okay, what's the difference? Okay, angels, what we call angels are our, what I'll term the common garden variety. They're great. They're the ones that are around us all the time. We've got 2 guardian angels each. Just talk to them, be with them, feel them. It's this lovely, light, tingly energy. They have a sense of humour. They may not be sentimental. They tickle you. Mine tickle me anyway. There's a joy with them. You know, there's a real joy, there's bliss, there's happiness. You know, they're just wonderful to connect to. And amongst this is the healing angels, the parking angels. We all know about the parking angels, don't we? Lots of people have used those. There's, you know, there's the angels of joy, the angels to do with children. We've had a whole lot of angels who are helping Gabriel to do with this whole kind of setting up this whole presentation today.
Because Gabriel deals with kind of technology, communication.
He's communication and creativity rather than technology. Archangel Michael's quite good with technology, actually, interestingly enough. Archangels have specific roles, okay? So they are, in theory, higher in our way of thinking, okay? So the angels are kind of more general, but they come into categories. The archangels have specific roles. So you've got your four main ones, which is Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is the warrior, or I call him Mr. Motivator. I've got the dream team coming next year. I've got to say it. I do. They've told me it's the dream team. 2013, watch out for them. So we have Archangel Michael, if you've never known him, Mr. Motivator or Arch Motivator. And he really gets you motivated, he gets you determined, he protects you, he helps you with courage, he helps you move forward. Do you know what I mean? He helps you with direction. You know, if you're being put upon, if you're having challenges and difficulties and being picked on, he can really kind of assist you on that level. You know, he's really good, and he's good for kind of psychic attack. He's very good for clearing energy. He's very good for protection. You want him on your side. He's a warrior, and I tell you, he's got very strong, no-nonsense energy. He is an angel of action. He doesn't, you know, no nonsense with him, right? But he's good. You want him on your team. Okay? Number 2 in the dream team is also another angel of action, and that is Archangel Gabriel, who is the arch communicator, and also to do with children, okay, and creativity. So very creative, to do with communication with yourself, with others, so can help with help you to resolve issues, so that you can kind of move through things, so you can see things kind of from a bigger, you know, from a bigger perspective. But very good for creative people. Very good to kind of help you to write, to kind of move on, but also a lot to do with children. If you know people with infertility problems or anything like that, adoption, anything, you want Gabriel around. And you know, it's been known, you know, Gabriel is the most common visitor to Earth. So, but a very good member to have on the team, as I said here, very present, very busy, very active, you know. A great energy to have. The third one we have, of course, is Archangel Raphael, Mr. Energizer, the angel of healing for people, animals, and the world, I've been told, as in the earth, along with the fairy and nature spirit kingdom. And yeah, just to do with really healing yourself, to do with really learning to look after yourself and to respect yourself, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, to understand the reasons for sickness, you know, to really kind of learn to transform yourself, to heal inner child stuff. So you can really do a lot of work with Raphael on lots of levels like that. And then we have Archangel Uriel. He is magic. Yeah, he's interesting. He's psychic. He's prophecies. He's alchemy. He's transformation. He's transmutation. He's also writing, actually, which is very interesting. He's poetry. He's kind of creative in that ways, because all of that is actually about transmutation and alchemy, isn't it? It's kind of transforming things and putting them down and moving. Dreams, very good kind of for dreams and prophecy and stuff. So quite interesting. And then actually we have Metatron, who's one of the two main exceptions, who were a human, who became an archangel. And Metatron, interestingly, is supposed to be the only archangel, and Uriel is the angel who's the lightest and the closest to God, the only one who can practically see God directly, whose light is so strong because that's the transmutation. And Metatron is the only one who's allowed to sit at the feet of God, and Metatron is the one who writes all our deeds. But also very good for those of you who want to be writers, have Metatron on your side. Kind of, he's the one who does the Book of Karma. But yeah, so
who's the other angel? Sorry, who's the other angel that has had a human incarnation?
Archangel Sodolphin.
Sodolphin.
Yeah.
Okay, never heard of him.
Yeah. From the top of my mind, I've gone blank, and normally I know them all off by heart.
That's cool.
He's not present today, but yeah. So the dream team are coming. They're kind of coming to. We'll be doing workshops to do. I'll be running workshops to do with them next term. Sorry.
And that has does that have to do with the kind of new energy, the new cycle?
Yeah, it's the new energy, and it's it is, and it's also kind of looking at the archangels from the less airy-fairy and from a very kind of practical. How do we use them in our life? How do we, for implementation? Kind of from the very, what do you call it?
Practical.
Yeah. So kind of that very practical kind of point of view to kind of really motivate us to kind of get us on in our life. I'm thinking about, what is it, people have done? They go and, doesn't matter. I've lost my words, don't worry about it. It happens sometimes. But yeah, so kind of from, it's looking at it from a very more grounded, centered point of view. And actually the thing about the angels and other celestial beings, because I work with other very high energies as well, is that it's very grounding energy. And we need to be grounded and centered when we work with these energies.
Shall we do the meditation?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, because we're talking about all this, but I think it'd be great to talk about how to connect, and meditation is probably the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
To connect to angels.